This is a self-portrait drawing tutorial for the Breakout exhibition at Quay Arts. You're going to need a pencil, piece of paper, a ruler and a rubber, and you'll need a mirror to look at your reflection so that you can draw your self-portrait more accurately. I'm going to start off by drawing an egg-shape oval. Don't worry if it's a little bit wonky to begin with, because the next thing we're going to do is draw a straight line down the centre, and that will help us make sure the two sides are symmetrical, so you can make some adjustments at this stage. You can also look in the mirror at the shape of your jawline and your chin and make a few adjustments to the shape to make it look more like a head. So this first 10 minutes is going to focus on drawing a self-portrait from the front. If you want to have a go at drawing a 3/4 view self-portrait, I cover that in the second half of this video. We're going to work out where the halfway point is, so you need to mark halfway down the head and draw a halfway line horizontally. So your oval's divided into quarters, and that halfway down line is where your eyes are going to be positioned. Don't worry if they look a bit low at this point, it will all even out as it goes on. You need to check that there's enough space between the two eyes, so the space between would be roughly one eye width. And look in the mirror to see the shapes of your eyes whilst you're drawing them. We're then going to draw 2 lines down from the insides of the eyes and divide the bottom half into half again. That's going to give us the position of the nose. So underneath the insides of the eyes we can draw the outer edges of the nose, the ball of the nose on that quarter line, and mark where the nostrils are. Again, look carefully in the mirror and that will really help you get the shapes of the nostrils, the ball of the nose. If we draw another halfway line between that quarter line and the chin, that'll give us the approximate position of the mouth, and you can draw lines down from the centre of the eyes to help you work out where the edges of the mouth would be. The mouth does change shape quite a lot if you talk or smile or make any other expressions, so this is an approximate measurement, but if you're in a relaxed position, the creases at the edge of your mouth would be roughly underneath the centre of your eyes. We can use the inside of the eye to help work out where the eyebrow begins as well, so you can start to mark those in. And then the positions of the ears are between the eye line, the halfway line, and the bottom of the nose. So if you're wearing glasses, you can draw the glasses in at this stage and they will go out to the edges of the ears. We need to mark in the hairline now, and you will need to again look in the mirror because each person has quite a different hairline. If you've got hair with a lot of volume or curly hair, then it was going to come out more from the head. And then we can draw the neckline in, which is slightly inside where the ears are. But be careful not to make it too thin. So the outer edges of the eyes are quite a good guide. Then I'm going to take a rubber and get rid of all of those working out lines. So all the straight lines you've drawn, any rough marks you've made to help you work out all the positions of things. You can rub them all out now because you've drawn the features. So get rid of any working out lines, and that will give you your basic line drawing of the face, which we can use as a starting point for the next step. If you wanted to, if you were just doing a line drawing, you could finish at this point, or you could use a bit more pressure or a pen to go over the lines. But if you want to add some pencil shading to make your drawing stand out, then we can start to add that in. So starting with some quite dark shading, have a look in the mirror, work out where the darkest points are. You may find you need some dark shading in the eyes, eyebrows, hair. And have a look at where the darkest shadows are of the face, because getting your shading really, really dark in these areas will help your drawing stand out quite well. So it'll take a few minutes to do this dark shading before we come on to the lighter shadows, which will help the drawing look a bit more three-dimensional. We can do some shadows around the eyes and nose. But first, just focusing on the darkest shadows. When you're shading the hair, you might find it helpful to think about the lines, the contours of the hair, and do some nice long shaded lines following the same direction that the hair grows in. That will help create the sense of the hair having a bit of texture. And depending on how dark your hair is, you will want to do more or less of the dark shading. But be bold. Try and get the darkest shadows really, really dark. That will help everything stand out from the page. At this point, if your hair goes over your ears, you can check that in the mirror and make adjustments to the drawing if you need to. So some people find their ears are completely covered up, other people will be able to see all of their ears, and depending on whether you've got long hair or short hair or no hair, then obviously you're going to need to approach this completely differently. So make sure you look in the mirror so that you know what shape to draw. So having strands of darker shading and lighter and medium shading in amongst the hair will help that sense of texture. And you may want to do some more wispy lines around the edge of the hair if you've got a few flyaway hairs. That helps give it a bit of life and movement. Have a look around the eyes, because often there are some darker areas. And when you're drawing the eyebrows, think about lines, using lines to show the direction that the hairs are growing in. So now I'm going to start adding a bit of lighter shading. This will just help everything look a little bit more 3D, give it a bit more form and volume. So I'm just putting a little bit less pressure, just very faintly adding a bit of pencil shading, and you can smudge it with a tissue or with your finger if you want to. If it gets too dark, you can use a rubber to lighten it back up again. But as long as you've done some really dark shading in that earlier stage, then you can keep it fairly light at this point. Just don't press too hard. You'll have to look in the mirror to see where the shadows are. It will depend on which side of your face the light is coming from. So you can soften it. So a tissue or a cotton bud or your finger works well. If there are any other shadows or creases of the eyelids, can mark those in at this stage. And you can use a pencil to add any other details in, and a rubber to lighten areas up if you need to. Often you find there are shadows around the eye socket and around the edges of the nose, where the nose comes out quite a lot from the front of the face. Those shadows around the side of it help it look a bit more 3D. And you may want to add the eyelashes in. Don't go too crazy with spidery eyelashes everywhere, but you may just want to add some little flicks if you can see the ends of your eyelashes. So this second half of the video covers what to do if you want to draw your face slightly from the side. So a 3/4 angle where you're looking slightly to the side. Again, you'll need to look in the mirror and you'll notice that your head shape is a little bit different. So it's still a bit like an egg shape, but this time the pointy part of the chin will be over towards one side and the back of the head will be more rounded. So we've still got the halfway down line, which will give us the positions of the eyes, but this time instead of a line of symmetry, we're drawing a curved line for the nose. So on that halfway down line, we're still having the positions of the eyes. Make sure the gap in the middle is enough. So about the distance of an eye in there. And where those two lines cross, the halfway line and the curved line that you've drawn, where they cross, that's going to give you the position of the nose. And you can draw a line down from the inside of the eye, just like you did with your front view self-portrait, to position the edge of the nose. And the mouth, again, just like the first self-portrait, you can draw lines down from the centre of the eye to help you get the edge of the mouth. The side of the face will be a slightly different shape now, and you really do need to look in the mirror to get this right, because the brow bone and the cheekbone, the shape of the chin, and the way it comes up to the jaw, that's going to be quite a lot different from when you're looking at the face from the front. The position of the ears, like last time, you can use the halfway eye line and the bottom of the nose to give you the positions of the ears, or the one ear that you can see. You probably can't see the other one because your head is turned away. Just double check that the back of your head is going to be big enough to fit all of the hair in there, and have a look at the shape of your hair to see what lines you need to add in for that. And just like last time, we're going to take a rubber and get rid of all those working outlines now that we've marked out the features. So get rid of any rough lines that you don't want to be there in your final drawing, in preparation for adding the shading. So like last time, I'm going to start with some very dark shading on the eyes and hair and nostril, and that will help the drawing to stand out, give it some contrast, tonal contrast. So some dark tones. I'm looking in the mirror to see where the darkest shadows are first of all, and using quite a heavy pressure with the pencil to draw those in. For this drawing, I've used an HB pencil to do the line work because that rubs out nicely. I've then used a 4B pencil for the shading, but you can do this exercise using any kind of pencil. I've chosen a 4B pencil for the shading because it's a bit softer and the black graphite in that 4B pencil will give a nice dark shading, so it will help the whole drawing to stand out. HB pencil is a nice medium weight pencil, nice and easy to rub out, so it's a good one to start with. But if you do have a softer pencil, a B grade pencil, then that's quite nice for shading with. So I'm using that 4B pencil to get some really nice dark shadows where I can see the darkest parts. So on the hair, some softer shadow under the jaw there. And in the ear, because the ear's turned to the side now, we can see a bit more of the shadows, different tones in the ear, and that's going to help it to look 3D if we can draw those in. If you've got any earrings or features, you can put those in. If you've got glasses, I would advise putting them on early in the drawing rather than waiting right till the end, because sometimes, particularly if they're quite thick lenses, it will affect how the eyes look through the glass. So tackle that earlier on. Don't be tempted to leave it till last, because it does help to have the shape of the glasses in there, and you can really look in the mirror and see how the shape of your eyes might be affected by looking at it through the lenses. So these two self-portraits I've done are 10 by 10 centimetres for the Quay Arts BREAKOUT exhibition. All of the self-portraits in that are these dimensions, but you can use the same approach if you're doing a self-portrait of any size, but this is quite a nice size to work with if you're doing something quite portable with what you've got at home. So again, like the first drawing, I'm using my shading lines to follow the contours of the head, looking at the direction the hair grows in and echoing that with the curves of the pencil. And you can just add in any lighter shading. If your mouth's open and you want to draw the teeth, some people find that quite difficult, drawing teeth. I sometimes find drawing the space around the teeth a bit more helpful. So look at the dark area that you can see of the mouth and draw that. Don't worry too much about drawing heavy lines between the teeth, because that can make it look quite flat. So when you're doing your lighter shading, you can use your finger or tissue or a cotton bud to soften those shadows. And just have a look in the mirror at the eyelids and the eyelashes and see what you can actually see, and if there are any wrinkles or creases. Particularly if you're smiling, you might get some creases around the edge of the eye. You can put those in as well. Don't get too obsessed with wrinkles, because you can age your drawing quite quickly if you put too much line work on it. It's good to get a balance, a little bit of shading and texture, but not too much. So have a go at your self-portraits, enjoy, and let us know how you get on.